All right.
I still have to like really prepare this a little bit. Oh,
I
are we
bet
doing
you
the theme
do, Ian.
song?
Oh, yeah, we're doing the theme song.
Oh, we're doing the theme song, huh?
We're getting pumped.
Uh,
It's so loud.
yeah.
It's
It
so.
sounds loud.
It feels loud.
It feels loud. Hey Shay,
It's like
it's
what?
loud, right?
What? I
It's
can't. It's.
it's loud, right?
I can't hear you over
It's
the music.
it's the volume is high, right?
It's high. It's
The
loud.
volume is high.
Oh, I think you're saying it's loud, and I agree. So,
Right?
all right. I'm really glad that's over. I'm happy that it's gone. That's,
I forgot we were doing theme songs. You know, I'm going to be really embarrassed right now if I can't open this jar. Like while we live stream, like I'm just like struggling to. Oh God. Oh, and of course I would spill jalapeno juice all over myself. So a lot of people, Shay, are you a pre-sliced pino guy, or do you slice them yourself?
I'm not a big Peno guy to begin with, so I have
Alarming.
no horse in this race.
Mm. What
Mm.
other metaphors or like analogies or idioms are similar of the are the same brand of the I don't have a horse in this race one?
Uh,
That's an idiom pot I've always really enjoyed.
yeah, there's I have no hat on this mannequin. It's one of my
Of course,
it's
classic.
one of my favorites.
Uh,
I have no children on this bus.
that's a good one.
Classic,
I
right?
like that one. Classic, classic. I don't have kids on this bus. None of my friends in this school shooting. You know, it's the simple things.
Oh my god. Ian, man.
Dark.
First of all,
Sorry.
no. How are you? Tell me, what's going on with you? What's new right now in the life of Ian?
I'm good, and not, nothing in terms of what's new. Just, just the grind, man. Just the absolute grind. I'm excited about this pivot to video. I think this is going to be really exciting and interesting for us. It's Friday, man. It's the end of the work week, so I got to ask, how does this work week compare to the others before it?
You mean with my new position, or you mean
Just in
just
general,
generally?
like just an aggregate comparison between this work week and literally every other work week that you've worked in your entire life. How did this one shape up?
No statistical difference. No, no difference of statistical significance in this work week. How about yours?
I never ask these questions with intent for them to be thrown back at me, and I'm always baffled when they are. I'm like, I can't
Ah!
answer this.
Ah! I wasn't prepared for this at all.
This is an unanswerable question. Who would ask this? Forgetting it was I mere moments prior who did the same misfortune to the person before me. But it was fine. It was absolutely fine.
Oh,
And
man.
and yeah, like you know, it was work, right?
That's how I
Talking,
feel.
that's my least favorite. I don't know if you've, while we're on the topic of work, I don't know if you feel this way too. That's like the question I dread most having to answer at a
That was work.
party. It's just like what do you do? Like when you meet someone for the first time and like that's what they ask you, that's what they go with. I fucking hate that.
Yeah. Totally here with that, bro. 100%.
Do you have a substitute
Holy
question that
shit.
you go with when you meet
Yeah,
someone new for the first time?
I actually do. Yeah, I don't think anyone likes the "what do you do" question. I mean, no one cool likes that question. I think the better answer is, or the better question is, like either how do you spend your free time, or like what do you like to do for fun, or like
Mm.
what are your hobbies, or something like that.
So,
'Cause
so tell me about yourself. I don't know, but like it's weird. Like even that feels like almost like an interview question. I feel
it
like
is an interview.
the move is to it's like tough. Like how do you get to know somebody without making them feel like they're sitting through an interview?
But you are, I mean, that's like what meeting someone is, right? Like that's like you are like trying to, I mean, if you have any real intention of like building a relationship, like isn't that just kind of what's happening? You guys just like talk to each other about things you like and see if you guys can like continue a friendship?
I guess. I mean, I see where you're coming from, but like I also see where I'm coming from, where it's like maybe tonight, maybe or maybe within the next couple of minutes, maybe we can come up with like a happier medium. Because I feel like I don't know, like if you guys can have a like if you can have a discussion over, a back and forth, right? Like isn't not that a discussion isn't a back and forth, but I mean at least not in the same way. Like oh, like what do you know? it's like a call and response thing, right? Like, oh, I do this. Oh, I do this. I do this. Oh, I like to do this. Oh, I like to do this. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I don't know. I've definitely been called out for like, you're doing the whole mukbang thing. I gotta pull.
Look at this chili, lime, garlic shrimp that I cooked.
That is pretty nice.
Yeah,
I got some.
It's gonna be real nice. I mean, I'm gonna eat as much of this bowl as I can, but these noodles are getting soggy. Look at this.
I got some steamed broccoli, a little too steamed, if you ask me. But
the question I asked, the first question I ever asked Juyeon before we met was that she said she liked. Was I asked her what sort of person are you?
What sort of
first question I was like, what sort of person are you?
That's fun. That's it's like I need to put you in a box really quick. Can you just like help me out with that? What
Babe,
box
like
do you...
I want to ask her real quick and just double check. I asked you like the first question I asked you was like Atan Saramiya, which is like, is that like what sort of person are you, or like what kind of person are you? It's like the best translation in English. Yeah. So I mean, you know. Thanks, babe.
Dude, you know how like slurping noodles is like a big thing, right?
Oh, you're not gonna subject me to that, are you?
I think I've I've castrated my slurping abilities by
That's good.
I got these kind of noodles. I forgot what they're called, but they're hollow. There's a hole in the middle. So as I'm trying, it's like it's a tube. So as I'm trying to slurp, I'm just sucking air from the center like a straw.
it looks really. Oh shit. Well, that's fine. So this is Shay, I don't know how you doll up your pho, but I've got some hoisin sauce here. I've got my jalapenos. I've got my chili garlic shrimp. I've got my cilantro. Just did my fresh lime squeeze. All I need next is the sriracha squirt, and I'm in business, man.
Yeah.
I can't believe I haven't even eaten yet. Like I can't believe I literally just like chopped up fresh jalapenos for this meal. But it's pretty fire. Wait, I'm sorry. You didn't tell. You said you were called out at parties before, or like you've been called out before for what? Like asking difficult questions and being difficult?
No, it wasn't at parties. What I was saying was I've been called out on dates for asking interview questions. They're like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize this was an interview. I'm like, what do you think you're doing here? You're interviewing for the position of my girlfriend. But like vice versa too. But you know, that's what it is. Like that's literally you go, it's I don't know. I think like my dating life definitely prepared me for like interviewing for jobs and stuff. Like talk about yourself. Like why should we hire you? Why should we date you? Why should we fuck you? Like those are all like you should be able to sell that to people.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. What was I going to say? Yeah, you know, and like that actually that really annoyed me too. Where they're like, "What is this, an interview?" It's like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was my job to drive the conversation. Would you mind meeting me halfway here?
That's so funny.
That's its own kind of red flag. If someone's like, "You're boring me," it's like, dude, you're bringing nothing to the table right now. Okay.
That's funny. When me and Stephanie first met, like she was very quiet, and I remember like being like not minding that much, but also feeling like I gotta keep going. Like I gotta keep talking. Like what else am I gonna talk about with this person? It was like it was a little difficult. I'm not gonna lie. But I don't know. Like the way she did it, like didn't bother me as much as it does with like other people. Like some people like they don't talk much, and it's it feels like you know, like I guess like like a one-sided conversation. You're like, all right, cool. Like I'm just hanging here like talking about whatever. But I think the difference was with her is like I really amuse myself generally, and she was very generous with the space she gave me to let me amuse myself. And this is like the worst fucking compliment I could ever give someone.
Hey, I really like the way you let me amuse myself in front of you. That's an interesting one.
Like thank you for your generosity with the space you give me so that I can truly feel myself.
because speaking of you know, significant others and love and dates, because my focus was on like getting my wife her dinner on time, my noodles soaked to the extent that like now they've just broken up, and I can't get them on my chopsticks.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, not great.
Can you slurp a little for me, Ian? I'm a little slurp.
No, I can't. They're too short.
Slurp the soup.
They're too short for slurping.
Just slurp the broth there. A little bit of that.
That seems unnecessary.
They wanted, Ian.
That seems.
Hey, bucatini. Oh, Stephanie told me the name of this noodle is bucatini, the hollow noodle.
Bucatini.
Bucatini.
Is
Yeah.
Stephanie Italian? I forget.
I forget too. No, she's like, yeah, she's a portion Italian, but like much more Hispanic than Italian.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, let's see. I want to find like a little noodle that I can show you the little opening on here, but they're all too long that I won't be able to hold it with a fucking chopstick. You know what I could do is just. But yeah, Ian, I'm pretty sure we're supposed to slurp pretty hard.
There's no potential for me. Look at this. Like, how am I supposed to slurp with this? Oh,
Slurp.
fuck me.
Look at that. You can see the hole.
That's crazy. Wow, that's a thicker noodle than I thought. You know, from this far away, it looks smaller.
It's a pretty thick noodle. We got the thick brand. You know, I could slurp it like this though, Ian. Check it out. Problem solved.
Not a sound I want to hear during dinner.
Problem solved. You know what's interesting is like, that's like a culture. So like in Korea, is that like a big thing? Like slurping noodles as like a sound thing? Like,
I don't know. I think it was becoming less so. Like eating quieter was kind of like becoming more normal over there.
but before that,
she's got headphones on, so she doesn't hear me yell into the microphone. But no, I mean, like I know a lot of the people that I met and hung out with, they were like, "Fuck, dude! Like I hate it when people just like eat obnoxiously." Like my mom, my wife's mom hates it. She absolutely can't stand it.
Really? I mean, it bothers me too, like a lot, like to the point where like watching a lot of these mukbang videos is incredibly difficult. It's
disgusting. It's like absolutely disgusting. I'm just like, why? Like, what is the?
Oh God!
I murdered these noodles, man.
So I noticed you're not drinking anything or anything fun.
No, just water. I didn't have time to go and get booze or get anything crazy and twisty. Plus, I don't want to eat soda.
Oh yeah, who does?
Drink soda.
Look at this
we talked about this last time, right?
Yeah, look at this beautiful little pepper I got here. Oh, so good, dude. These vegetables came out incredible. I'm not gonna lie.
This shrimp came out dynamite.
What how do you season it?
Get a pan?
What?
Sorry, you get a pan, hot oil, and then I put like all-purpose or blackening seasoning on the shrimp first. You know,
blackening seasoning. What's that?
Blackening seasoning? I don't know. It's just like spices. It depends. There's like all sorts of different seafood stuff. I think you can do it with anything, and like it's fine because what you really want is just like a peppery heat, I guess. I'm not really, you know what's so funny? It's like I'm not really good at describing flavors, which is hilarious because I eat every day. I mean, yeah, I think there's like the flavor vocabulary is limited, which is probably why it's beneficial to watch some of these cooking programs. I'm like, I don't know, I fucking needed that word here. Like that's a great word.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, but it's basically, you want like kind of like a dry heat because what you're gonna want to what you do after that is like you do the garlic and then the lime and then like the sweet Thai chili sauce, and you've got this like nice sweet heat. It's good.
All right, since you didn't ask, I'm gonna tell you mine. I did.
Wait. Before you tell me, I need a spoon. Like I ruined my noodles. I need a spoon to eat these. I'm sorry. Give me a sec.
All right, brother. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shay Show. This is the portion of the show happens once a mukbang where Shay sits here quietly by himself. How quiet, you ask? Exactly as quiet as you're seeing now. This is the quietest I've ever been by myself, in fact. I feel lonely. I'm sad. And frankly, I'm happy that Ian's back.
All right, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. No, I was going to ask.
Yeah. What did we do? Honestly, we were pretty lazy with it today, but we put all the pepper, so it's red pepper, green pepper, yellow pepper, all in a skillet with some thinly sliced long carrots like this guy. Oh, fuck me. Guess I'm just gonna pick.
At least we got to meet him before he passed away.
Help! I've broken my legs from the terrible fall. That's Mr. Carrot here. He's since been put out of his misery. And so we did sesame sauce, or sesame seed oil. get it to a little high heat, throw all that shit in there. And like since it's a really small pot, so instead of like sauteing, it steams pretty much.
Yeah.
So we like, but which is fine. I'm not trying to like do anything too fancy today. And so we cook all that. Put long onion as well, a couple cloves of garlic. Throw in some basil, some paprika, a good amount of ginger, which is like my new favorite now, and then cook it in that for a while. You salt it and everything, of course, and then at the end now we're throwing in some like a healthy amount of lemon juice and a healthy amount of soy sauce on top, and just mix it all up, and it's pretty fucking good, man.
What's the one spice you could not live without, or the one like seasoning that you could just absolutely could not live without?
Cumin.
Sorry, did you say human?
No. Cumin? Cumin? Cumin?
Cumin. Yeah, I think it's cumin.
It's cumin, yeah.
Really? I guess you know what? You cooked. We had. I think one of the times you came over, when you did one of your like egg potato medleys, you threw some like cumin and what else? What was the other thing you seasoned your morning potatoes with? Or maybe it was a substitute. Maybe it was paprika, because I didn't have enough cumin. You did like paprika and cumin on the potatoes. I'm like, it was. I'd never had. I'd never really done potatoes and eggs that way.
Dude, I love cumin and eggs. Like that's especially if you do like so I'm half Nicaraguan. There's this Nicaraguan dish called gallo pinto, and it's just fried beans and rice like on a very high heat, and you just like put a little bit of garlic, onion, some cumin, like maybe cilantro, probably not, but then you throw and you cook it like so it's hot and it's dry, and then you put sunny side up egg on it let the yolk just run all over it, and it's so fucking good, man. That's like one of my childhood like favorite meals.
It's like when I was in what's so funny is like now that I think about it, I probably had that. Like when I was in Nicaragua, there was a woman there that would like prepare all our meals, and it's funny, when it was time to eat, I thought she was saying listo. Like every day she'd be like listo, and I'm like, oh cool, listo, I guess it means come eat. And then I realized she was saying eat please or something like that. Like,
oh, in English? She was saying it in English?
Yeah, but I thought she was saying listo, so I was like, oh cool, it's listo, it's time to eat.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, like dudes would come up from the beach like holding lobsters, and they're like, I just caught these, and they look like they were 5 days old. I'm like, no thank you.
Fuck, dude. You know what? I thought I was gonna make a pretty big dent into this noodle shit today.
Yeah.
I don't think I stand a chance. I'll be lucky if I eat half of this.
Noodles are filling, dude. Noodles are the silent killer. All right, like even if you don't put anything in them, like they fill you up pretty quick.
Yeah, this is a whole big box of bucatini, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I did a whole package of fond noodles. Well, these aren't super fond noodles. Like they didn't have the ones I want, so these are even thicker.
Let me ask you: is it okay to like when I make my Asian rice dishes? I'm sorry, my Asian noodle dishes. Like I often use just like spaghetti or something. Does that count as like Asian noodles in your opinion?
It's so funny. Like Gian will literally say, a noodle is a noodle is a noodle. So for me, that's your noodle pass.
Okay, that feels like a good pass. I'll take it. Because rice noodles are expensive for some reason. Are they that expensive? I imagine they're not as expensive in Korea.
No, not like Korean food in Korea is dirt cheap. Like Korean food here is like a fucking delicacy. But like honestly, like one thing I miss about living in Korea, man, is just like being able to fill myself up with a very small amount of money. Like especially just like kimbap, dude. Did you eat any kimbap while you were there?
Oh, I don't know. I had bibimbap, but I don't know if I had any kimbap.
What's the difference?
What's the difference?
I mean, Julian hates this analogy, but like I think that I'm just gonna go with the foods Americans know. It's like it's basically just like meat sushi. It's like sushi with like vegetables and meat in it. I mean, like it's seaweed and rice wrapped up. And then like it's a lot bigger too. It's almost like a small burrito. And like a roll of kimbap will cost you like $2 or $3 depending on where you get it from. And I mean, it's
Wow.
super filling and it's great. It's awesome. Like it's just rice, seaweed, and veggies. If you want to put meat in there, it's a little more expensive. But I mean, you could get egg. Actually, no, like a lot of it comes with egg. Like that's like the protein in there as well, like built in. So I mean, you would love it as a vegetarian. Like I think that would be, I think that would be your go-to next time you go to Korea. Like that's what you should survive on.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great. I mean, you said that, so you don't have to have the meat in there.
No. Yeah, you can just order like a roll of kimbap. Basically, like is just like eggs and veggies. Like they'll have like strips of egg in there, and then the rest is like carrots. Oh God, I should know this. Radish, lettuce, like bean sprouts or something like that.
I love bean sprouts.
I can't remember the veggies that are in there, but it's good, man. It tastes really good. And a lot of people like dip it in mayo or like some sort of like sauce or Korean sauce. Like it's fire. It's fantastic.
Mm.
Yeah, it's I miss kimbap too, man. Like I went to get a roll of kimbap here. I think when I first moved here, and it was like $12. And I'm like, fuck me, dude. This used to be so cheap.
It's crazy, man. But that's like, I guess that's just how it is. Like,
it's like, Western food or like non-Korean food in Korea, like, foreign food for them was really fucking expensive.
Right.
Like I remember one time, dude, it was like my and Julian's anniversary, and we went to like a Western restaurant, and it was like, 2-course meal, like $99 or something like that. And like, it was like our anniversary. So I was like, you know what? No sweat. Fuck it. Like $99 isn't even that bad for especially like for the meal that it was. It was like an 8-course, meal at like this fancy French restaurant. And then when they bought the bill, it was like $200. And I was like, this is $99. And like at the very, very bottom in fine print, it said per person. And I was like, fuck you guys.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude, I got.
You did get got. I would be like, fuck, I didn't see that. Fuck you.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing. They absolutely knew what they were doing. A little smug smile they gave me. They're like, should have read the fine print. I'm like, bro, this is a fucking restaurant, not an Amazon warehouse factory contract.
Mm. We got some comments, by the way, while you were talking. None other than our biggest fan, Miss Juyeon Kim.
What did she say? She said, shut up, Ian. You don't know what you're talking about.
She said, how dare you call kimbap meat sushi?
Yeah, I told you she hates that analogy.
She says, you are not allowed to eat kimbap anymore. And then I said, in all caps, mostly, ha 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 ha.
Mostly.
Yeah, I like hit caps lock in a weird spot. The viewers at home know what I'm talking about.
At least you got to it. I'm a little embarrassed. I'm actually really embarrassed that I can't eat these noodles with chopsticks because they're just broken. Like, look, they just broke apart. This is what happened to them.
What kind of noodles? Are those rice noodles?
Yeah.
Nice. You should have gotten some bucatini, bro.
Apparently, man. Yeah. It's so funny that you do just like Western noodles, like or like spaghetti or something like that. Like that's interesting.
Yeah, I've wondered about. I'm like, does this not count? Like, I think about that all the time. But
I mean, like my dad uses ramen. Like he'll just use like the store-bought ramen noodles, and like he'll throw away the package and everything else, and just like use the noodles and like whip up a really intense dish that's actually really good.
I thought about doing ramen today. Actually, I was like, maybe I should get some, because I mean, like the noodles, they feel like the right kind of noodles for like this kind of dish. That's rice noodles too, right?
What for? What
ramen noodles? Ramen noodles?
No, that's something else. That's just like I don't know. That's just sodium. So it's like, that's all it is. It's just sodium in noodle form.
Wow. Dude, I know.
Sorry, go ahead.
I know, like, I was stoked about drinking a giant fucking beer, but I also knew at the same time it was going to ruin my ability to eat anything.
Yeah.
But here I am.
So you're like the, I don't know, like the Sisyphus of, not Sisyphus, I'm sorry. You're like the, oh my God. You're like the Icarus of mukbang.
I flew too close to the sun. Yeah.
It's like You didn't care. You didn't care that the wax on the wings would melt. All you knew is that you wanted
That's
was that you
true.
wanted the beer.
That's me, man.
You wanted to taste the sun.
Flying by the seat of my pants. So another. Does that work there? um,
More or
cool.
less. I was gonna ask, what was did your mom was there a comfort food she like cooked for you?
Yeah. She hasn't made it since I was like 8, but
You've probably been a bad boy since you were 8 years old.
I was a bad boy before that. Was born bad. No, but she made. I don't know if this is like actually a Swedish dish or not. She made Swedish pancakes. Does that sound like a dish that like Swedish pancakes? So you're like, oh yeah, Swedish pancakes, or is that not a thing?
Swedish pancakes. They're not like a breakfast thing.
They're a breakfast thing.
They are a breakfast thing. No, here's my guess. They're made from potatoes, and there's like cream cheese involved and like berries or something. Like, is that right? Am I close?
No, it's it's basically like a crepe. Like it's a very very thin pancake, and like we would always just put literally it was just a crepe basically, and we just put like a dollop of ice cream, and then you roll it up really tiny, like so it looks like a flauta if you ever had one of those. But it just looks like you just basically roll it up like a sleeping bag in one direction, and then you fork and knife it. A rolled up like ice cream pancake, and it was.
Wow.
I mean, of course, as a kid, I loved it. My mom, actually, you know what? I realized my mom did.
I
make
think she
it.
did make it for you for health reasons. Like I don't think it was a love thing or anything.
Oh, it's not like my diet got better after that. Like, you know, yeah. Was it you and me who were talking about this recently? Just like, right? Yeah,
At
just
16 or 17, you were like, I'm gonna eat right.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm just like, fuck, man. Like, yeah, but my family just didn't give a shit, man. We were still eating Little Debbie oatmeal cream pies, like buying those by like the boatload from Costco, you know,
yeah.
until like I don't know how old I was. Too old to be eating oatmeal cream pies.
I was having a conversation about this with friends of mine recently. That like, I don't know when it was. I want to say it was like around the mid to late 2010s or 2000s, I guess, early 2000s. All of a sudden, we realized that we were eating like shit. So it's like America just like woke up and they're like, we don't eat well.
What's going on here?
Yeah, no, I'm like really like. I remember we used to my family used to eat TV dinners like all the fucking time. Like, do you remember those? Like with a little penguin on top, and like you would microwave it, and like you would microwave everything at the same amount of time. There'd be like a little brownie, like chicken. Like that's what we were using scientists for. Like once the Cold War ended, we were like, all right, well, there's nothing for us to work on. Like let's figure out how we could 8 types of food we can microwave at the same time, same heat, and then it will all be done at the same time.
I'm pretty sure the penguin guy is Kid Cuisine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kid Cuisine, absolutely.
It was awful, man. You know what? All right. Was it you? Honestly, I like cannot remember which conversations I've had with you recently, but the other Boston Market. I think I was talking to Steve about this actually.
Yeah, this was a you and me conversation.
We used to get the Boston Market TV dinners, and we would bring those home, and I remember exactly what it was. It was turkey medallions, they were called. It was just like little pieces of turkey like this.
Oh yeah, and then, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like it had gravy and potatoes too.
Exactly, yeah. And dude, I want to tell you this part. You know what? I'm being so considerate right now, Ian. You're welcome. You would hate me if I started telling you the rest of the story.
You know what? Why? What happens? Is there vomit involved? Poop?
It's a toilet humor. We'll just say that. You're not gonna want it.
Okay.
Trust me. We'll do it when we're at the end of the episode if it calls for it. By the way, I would be remiss if I didn't fill you in on all the beautiful comments we're getting here.
Oh,
yeah, we got another comment here from our number one fan, Juyeon Kim, who says ramen is fried wheat noodle.
Oh, so she's like our education, the extension of this program.
She's the camper education. She's the education in this camp.
The education portion of this segment.
Yeah. Thank you, Juyeon. Kamsamnida. The other day I was trying to remember how to say hello, and I was like Kamsamnida, and then I was like fuck.
That's it.
Juyeon Kim also says, we eat other things too besides rice. I guess in response to me assuming that everything was rice noodles.
Oh my god. It's the yeah, that's a microaggression. You're a criminal now.
It's micro ignorance. It was just
Yeah.
super ignorant.
I like that.
Micro-
I like micro ignorance. I feel like we should all get some of those.
I didn't say
We should get some
micro.
passes.
I didn't say micro.
My parents don't understand the concept of microaggressions at all.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, they're like, sometimes I'll like see stories of people like, yeah, I'm so sick of asking me like, like, where are you really from? I'm like, who's doing that? Like, who the fuck is still doing that? And then I like went to a Thai restaurant with my parents and they were like, you have Thai eyes. Just like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess that's one portmanteau that would make sense if you said you have ties. They'd be like, I don't understand.
I mean, that would have at least, I don't know, we could have come up with some sort of an excuse for them, but as the comment stood, there was no getting out of that.
Yeah. How did the person respond to that? Just out of curiosity.
They were very, disgusted and polite. I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, fuck me. I'm sorry you have to experience this.
So they were offended by it. They didn't, or like visibly offended.
It was our waiter. So it's like, what can they do? Like they're at the mercy of my fucking parents so that they could get a tip and like survive and feed themselves or something like that.
Right. That's so fucked.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, yeah. While they were here, this is like when COVID was still kind of at the peak and Florida didn't give a fuck. So they came up here to visit. And I was like, they were like, let's go to a restaurant. I was like, I will only go to a restaurant if we can eat outside. They're like, you're so uptight. And like, this was like in May, maybe.
Oh,
this was like
when you're moving.
May. It must have
August.
been August.
Yeah. I think I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like, I was like, no, like I'll eat with you guys outside. I don't want to go to any restaurants. Like one of our waiters had like a mask and a face guard, and they were like, aren't you a little overkill? And like when he walked away, he was just like, yeah, just trying to be safe. And then he left. I was like, some people don't have healthcare, right? Like, I don't know, you only go into restaurants every now and then. This guy's being forced to come in every day.
That's insane.
Like, that's the difference. Like, it doesn't make sense for you because like, this is my treat for the week. Like this guy's been here 5 days a week. Okay.
Right. For hours every time.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not like us, like, oh yeah, you're going to eat, talk, leave. Like after he was here before we got here, he'll be here after we leave. Okay. Like he's here all day with a bunch of people coming in and out, asking him if he's taking it too seriously. It's like, you're the 30th group of people to fucking ask me that. Like you're exposed to me. I have been exposed to 90 people by now. So it's just like they can't, I don't know what it is like about their fucking brains that like, it doesn't, and like not just my parents, but like just people of that like mentality. It's just, can you really not like, do you think this restaurant comes into existence like the second it pops into your field of view?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. It's weird. It's interesting hearing you talk about your parents like this. Do you think they're watching?
No.
How would you feel
how many people are watching right now?
3. How would you feel if they were watching?
I don't know. Is there something in the comment section like Ian?
No, that would be such a fun setup though.
I mean, like I've had this conversation with them in person, like, like maybe in kinder words, but like, I've expressed my frustration. Like when they told the waiter he had Thai eyes, I'm like, you can't do that. And like, your generation is so sensitive. I'm like, literally like you can go on the internet and ask people if this is an okay question. And people will be like, please don't ask me this.
Yeah. It's interesting. I just had a kind of like a come to Jesus conversation with my dad. Oh, wow. He was just sending me more like political stuff. I'm just like, do you know the publication, the Epoch Times?
Never heard of it.
Like he sends them to me all the time. Like I don't know what the deal is with them, but
lucky you,
right? But they're like apparent. So I actually looked them up. I was like, okay, what is this publication? And they are a publication that's affiliated with this new religious movement, cult, from China, and I don't know what their deal is, but they're like vehemently anti-communist and extremely like they're fascist basically, and so they're communist, but I'm sorry, they're Chinese. Weird Freudian slip. They're Chinese, but they basically do far right propaganda all over the world, and they have like I guess they actually are an international organization. They're like a bigger organization, but everything they do is just like from a super far right agenda. They've never said anything critical about Trump, like that kind of shit. And it's just like eventually I was just like, Dad, like, do you not see like they will never ever say anything wrong or like criticize any far right politician at all? Does that not seem like a bias to you? And like he just doesn't see it the same way. So I was like, all right, we just can't talk about this anymore. And then like I'll like show him like the Wikipedia page. He's like, that's fake news. And then I'll be like, well, I like NPR. How about NPR? And then he sends me a Wikipedia page telling me about like NPR controversies. And I was like, do you trust Wikipedia now? Like from what you just told me, I should ignore this this criticism, right?
Yeah. No, it's, do you feel like we've been as affected by mass media like as our parents are? Like, is it because that we grew up with it? Like we're able to navigate it easier?
I don't know, man. You know what's interesting is because like I also feel like when I was talking to my dad, I was just thinking like I know I have my own bias. Like I have my own like prescriptive worldview about all this stuff, but like I'm not gonna. I think mine makes more sense, and like that's ultimately what this conversation comes down to. He's like, "Well, did you do all the research on this?" I was like, "No, I don't think I need to. Like, I believe pretty strongly that it's this way." And then he does the same thing with his resources. So at that point, it's like I can't really say. I'm like, no, I'm not going to read this because I think it's bullshit before I even start. And like at that point, I'm just like, now I'm arguing belief against belief, regardless of data, and like that's where like I like get stuck, you know.
Yeah. I think I saw something. I think it came from another podcast I actually really like. Seriously Wrong. I've told you about them before. Like,
yeah.
They talked something about like when you get into these types of arguments, an easy out, not necessarily, but like it's tricky with family. And like there are some close friends where I'm just like, you know what, like you're steadfast in this. Like we're never going to come to each other's side. Like it's no longer about facts. Now it's about like morals. And when you get to that point, like all you can really say is like, you know, I think that the real difference here is a philosophical one and not a factual one. So I think that we should just like leave this conversation here because we're at a point now where neither of us are going to change our minds.
Yeah. That's basically what I told my dad.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. That's basically what I told my dad. I was just like, there are some differences here that are immutable. Like neither of us are going to change our mind. And at this point, like I think continuing the arguments damage our relationship more than they like are like helping expand our mind or whatever, you know?
Yeah. So. It's interesting because I think both my parents and I believe of the other that we're possessed of like an infantile sort of thinking. Like it's like I think that their approach to things can be very like, you know, sophomoric, and I think they think the same of me. So it's interesting too. It's just like that's kind of the, I don't know, like the reaction or like the base thought is like, this is like a fucking childish way of thinking. But it's like, I think they think that of like my worldview and my politics. I think that of their worldview and their politics. So it's funny because I think, I don't know, we both see each other like, I'm just like watching you like pick at these noodles. So you're just like, I don't want to eat these.
I'm playing.
No, I feel like I don't know. It's just like it feels like we're looking at each other from across like a crevice or something. You know, like we're on each side of a cliff.
It is crazy, man. I keep going back to the thought of just like we don't agree on the facts anymore. Like you know, before, and we've talked about this before, but like before it used to be like you don't agree on. You can agree on the facts, but you don't agree on like how to interpret them. It's like now we don't agree on the facts, and like that couldn't be more true with me and my dad. You know, so it's just like fuck, like what, like how am I gonna talk about like small issues about like class issues? You know, if you don't even like agree that there's like huge wealth disparities. You know, like how are we supposed to even have that conversation if you don't even like agree that there's a problem at all? You know?
Yeah. Is it true that the Amazon workers voted not to unionize today? I think I saw something about that, but I was working. I didn't get to like dive into it.
I didn't see how the result came out. Should we look it up?
Yeah, let's find out. I think they voted not to unionize. So
Wow.
which is pretty wild to me. Like to have all these stories about people like peeing in bottles and crapping in plastic bags, and they're like, no, this is fine. Sure, this
Yeah.
is bad, but like $50 a month for a union? No, thank you.
Yeah, they didn't go through with the union.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating to me. I mean, there's still other fulfillment centers like across the country that are going to vote, right?
Apparently, it wasn't even close.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's devastating. Oh, let's see. Yeah, 1,798 votes against, 700 votes for. So it was like,
Oh, there's only that many people at that center?
I guess, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah. So it wasn't even close. That's
that's crazy.
devastating too. I
I
mean,
wonder if they threatened to leave. I wonder if they were like, if you unionize, we'll probably move to another city.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You know what's funny is I like when I remember hearing about this in the beginning, I was like thinking like, huh, should we start a union where we work? and, then, and then I was like, I don't know. Like, is that a good thing? Like, I honestly don't know enough about labor unions to like know if that would be something that would make sense for us to push.
I will tell you this. It's not a question that we could get away having on a live stream that you could go back and refer to. More after these messages.
Yeah, but all right. So I'm just actually curious about that. So like probably all employers are against their workers unionizing, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you do. Like, yeah, because it's basically collective bargaining against you, right? Like, give us more shit, right? That's like the whole thing. Yeah. So like the only reason we would do it, right, is because the only reason it would make sense for a company's employees to unionize is to get that company to give them more. So you would only do it if you felt like you were getting the short end of the stick, right?
Yeah. Like when the company sends out an email that says, I can't believe the record profits we recorded this year. By the way, there will be no cost
Pay
of living raises.
Yeah, yeah.
When you see those two things next to each other, you're like, oh, really?
That is interesting.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. It's crazy that like labor union membership has gone down so consistently for so long now.
I mean, just we live in a country that's so hostile to it, like it's just a ton of like anti-union propaganda. I mean, the sheer fact that you can stop your employees from talking about unionizing and like you can make that basically illegal in the workplace, but then also subject them all to like anti-union videos right when you start. So it's like, I mean, like a lot of times, like the first you'll even hear of a union is like when you start working at Target and they'll be like, let's watch this video. And it's like, someone approached me today about being in a union. What's a union? And like some dude comes in and he's like, unions. He's like, I'm glad you asked, Cheryl. Do you remember Hitler? So it's like, that's how that's how a lot of people are introduced to unions. As like literally like the first they'll hear of it is a fucking don't join a union video at like their first fucking job. Like I remember watching that when I can't remember which job, but I definitely watched like an anti-union video when I was working at one of my things.
I've seen them before. I don't think I've ever been introduced to one. Honestly, I've never had like a job that was that corporate. Like I worked for the government, and there's definitely no like union thing there. Can you unionize against? Can government employees unionize? I guess they can actually, right? Like that
didn't the post office? Isn't the post office a union?
Oh, and the fucking police are a union.
Yeah. Oh, they're a terrible union. But like, what's so funny about like the police is like, I feel like if you wanted to turn people against unions, just be like, look at the fucking police. They can kill you and get away with it. Look how great unions are.
That is fucking insane. Like, and that's such a like a right leaning institution, and the right fucking hate unions.
They're like, boo unions. Like, except for the police union, that's good.
What the fuck?
It's crazy.
It's so frustrating.
And it's funny, like when you say we can't, like we're at this point now where we can't even agree on the facts. I mean, like, that's always been true of this country. Like honestly, like that's part of America. It's just like ever since we split into a two-party system, like that's the road we've traveled. So,
you think so?
I think with the exception of World War II, like the 40s and 50s, when like with FDR at the helm, and there was like overwhelming support for all of these all of these social policies to kind of like help people in the wake of the Great Depression. Yeah, I think it was a blip on the radar. Otherwise, no, like we literally had a civil war. Like,
yeah,
talk about fucking bipartisanship.
but that's not about people not agreeing on the facts. I mean,
that was like the North was like, hey, don't have slaves, and the South was like, slaves aren't people.
Yeah, but at least they're saying like slavery is real in both parts. Like I feel like the South would be like, slavery's not even real. What are you talking about? There's no problem.
If the South during the Civil War was like climate deniers, now like what slaves?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's like where we are now. You know, where no one. I don't know. Yeah, like it's like. Yeah, how can you imagine that Trump said, go storm the fucking Capitol? And they're like, he never said that. It's like, watch this video. That's fake news.
Yeah, that's a deep fake.
My nephew has made one of these before. Like, I've seen these. He's on Shakira's body doing the little dance.
He's on Shakira's body. Yeah. That's good. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I do think there's a tendency to kind of like, always view the current moment as like an exceptional moment, but I think that there's a lot of history repeating itself in what's happening now, especially in terms of like what you were talking about, like the not agreeing on the facts. Denialism might be new. I don't know. I'm sure we could go back and find like examples of that. I mean, like, no, like, and even what was it like when I think like polio or something, or like measles, like when one of these diseases was like running around the country and like ravaging people, there were fucking anti-vaxxers back then. They were like, no, there's poisons in these vaccines. Like that was a thing back in like the, it's so funny. It's like, I know it was a thing, but I couldn't tell you the dates, but I've seen like posters for it and shit like that.
Yeah. Well, I think what's different now is like,
we have the technology to know better, and people are like, nah.
Well, even that, like there was, it's not like you had these massive, huge organizations that can peddle misinformation.
There were no, but you did. Like that was in the that was like in the in like the Gilded Age of American history. Like that was like the age of monopolies, and they just like owned everything, and they were like, these are the facts.
Right, but there was like still like one set of facts that, you know, it's not, again, like it's
was
not
there?
like, I think there was. Like
this could be an interesting sleepover, like the history of misinformation in America.
Yeah, because I believe I guess that's the thing is like I believe there was there was of course like American propaganda, like that obviously like has existed for like a long time. I guess like the question that I'm wondering is like, was it as mainstream as it is now? Like now, like completely buying into like Russian propaganda as an American is like commonplace. Like fucking. Like my dad now, like will like show like put on RT. He's like, look at this. Like, oh, this is the Russian Times. Like they're like a reputable source. I'm like, no, they're fucking not. Like you're worried about like the government taking control of like us in the United States. Like consider the fact that like another government has taken control over their people and is now brainwashing our people over here. Like, is that not alarming to you? Like as such a fucking purist, like nationalist, like that doesn't frighten you, but somehow you're like afraid of NPR. You know, like that's.
I mean, no, it's because you find the information that like confirms your worldview, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm safe. Oh,
exactly,
nothing to worry about here.
Yeah,
I can continue. I was right all along.
Right.
So.
Oh, it's frustrating. Anyway,
it's like I think I don't know. Like I think a lot of that is religious, right? Like you have to live the right way. You know, like capital R right. You have to follow the path. So it's like literally straying from what's right is like sinful, even, right? Like it's like a vice or something. I'm not phrasing it right, but no, like I think a lot of that stems from that too, like this desire to have this conviction. But I mean, you know, it's funny you mentioned it earlier. Like I also wonder / worry, like okay, like where are my blind spots? Like are they as bad? Like, but at least I ask myself, like, okay, fuck, like, am I wrong? Like, are my politics incorrect? Like, am I being too narrow-minded? Like, you know, what is the right way to like balance the fucking economy with like people's lives and shit like that, you know? So
I mean, I totally share those like concerns and worries. Like I really do. And like the answer that I come to is like, I honestly will never know if I'm right or wrong. Like I can't. Like there's no way for me to like step outside and look at the objective that doesn't exist. Like, so like, I don't know, like I guess like the best I can do is like question, keep questioning, and then just like hoping that I'm coming to like some reasonable conclusion. Like I guess that is like the the utilitarian argument, like the best good for the most people, like the most good for the most people, and just like hoping that that's what I'm coming or getting to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what else there is.
I don't know. Sometimes I do worry though that that's kind of like an ambivalent cop out. Like that's like an intellectual way of not having a stake in anything. Because like I feel that way too. It's like, you know, on the one hand, I'm like, I don't know, like I don't, I'm not sure. You know, all I can do is like think and hope and you know, cross my fingers and hope for the best. And other times I'm like, God, like, do I need more fucking conviction? Like, because.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, like, dude, you know, what's funny is you have more conviction than I do. Like, I'm like constantly like, yeah, I feel this way. I think, like, right? Like, I feel this way, and like, and then I'll have to think back and be like, all right, what's the supporting evidence I have? Like, how did I come to this conclusion? Like, am I sure enough that like I can say this like definitively? And like, oftentimes I find myself like, fuck, man, maybe I don't know as much as I think I know, or like, it's like it's weird because I've committed to the belief somewhere along the line, but I'm not sure. All right, I constantly doubt like the stepping stones that got me here. I'm like, wait, was that a good stepping stone? And like maybe it's like I spent like a year like feeling and like researching into like one thing, like you know, wealth inequality. Like that was something I really cared about in like 2012, 13, 14, around like the Occupy years. You know, like I thought about that and I was like, okay, I have these beliefs and I can back them up like very well. Now, almost 10 years later, I'm like, yeah, okay, so what are the stats for that again? Like, what's the data say? Like, I don't have that conviction that I'm right about this anymore. You know what I mean? It's like faded.
I think, and you know what's so funny is I think some people would say that it's probably like a privileged position, right? When you can look at things and be like, well, I'll be fine either way. I mean, but no, but like, I mean, like that's exactly why we're able to be ambivalent. It's because like, well, no matter what happens, I'm sure I'll be okay.
Yeah,
you know, it's just like, I mean, I don't know, like the Trump presidency, like you know, I take that back. My last industry shut down in part, due in part to the Trump presidency. So it's like, I absolutely was affected. But I know like a number of people, it's like, they can be flexibly partisan. Like it doesn't affect them. It doesn't matter who is in office. Like their lives are for the most part unchanged. So, but I mean, right. It's also, that could also be a testament to how little difference there are between the two parties anymore. So that's like, I know, like right after the Biden presidency, there were fucking tweets like, no more kids in cages. And like, you know, they're just in nicer cages now or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It does seem like, honestly, the little I was learning about like identity politics today was really fascinating. Just because like it's like this term, I was telling Stephanie this, like it's this term that I'm like familiar with. Like I don't know when I first heard the term identity politics, but then like I was like, and it was when you and I talked about it, you brought it up the other day, and I was like, I actually don't know with confidence like, that I could define it, you know, or that I like really understand like what makes identity politics. So then like when I did like a little bit of the research, it was weird because I was like, okay, the criticism from the right, I was like, this is bullshit. Like, fuck that. Like, that's like, you know, on the Wikipedia page, it says like criticism from the right and left. And then when I got to the left, I was like, oh, wait, this criticism like resonates with me like a lot, where it's basically like, I guess like what I read. And I feel like you already know this because you seem like to be pretty up to date on like this idea at least. But like what Wikipedia said was like, it's like a Karl Marx idea. Of like divide and conquer. Like it's basically you just you say like, actually all you poor people, like you're not the same. It's not you against us. Yeah, you're all different and you actually don't like each other. And you know, or like you're like, no, you see like you have darker skin, like you're different than the white ones. Like you don't work together.
You guys don't have any shared cause. Like, are you crazy?
Exactly. And I was just like, well, fuck that. Like, yeah, clearly like the biggest fucking issue is like the fact that like we're like stripping our planet of resources and funneling those directly up to the point now where we have several people, multiple people, dozens of people whose individual wealth is more than many of the world's countries.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
I mean, well, I think the real shock of it is like how much of our lives are now dictated by like these extremely undemocratic institutions. Like they're now so powerful like they probably have a greater impact on our politics, on our economy and our country than who the president is.
Right.
Like honestly, who the CEO of Amazon is probably matters more in some respects than who's the fucking, like, who your local senator is or some shit.
Oh, I
So
think you're absolutely right.
yeah,
Like,
so it's like that's crazy to fucking think about. So no, but it's fun. You know, absolutely too. It's like that paragraph I sent to you from that that article of the politics of a new Gilded Age, where it's like, you know, like Biden had no platform. Like the platform was like, you know, science is real. Like it's not a fucking policy decision. Like, Mr. Biden, what do you plan to do once you're president? When I'm president, I'm gonna make science real again.
that's fucking amazing. Well, you know what's also interesting?
Love is love.
Dude, that's like one of the fucking things they were saying in the Wikipedia thing. It's just like that's identity politics, when you're just like, we're all people. It's like, okay, that's a platitude. That's not like that's not a policy decision. That's something you say to make people feel better and do nothing. You know?
Well, it's funny too, because like that's like one of the charges levied against anyone that's like, no, like we have to unite against these like larger problems. Like you get called a class reductionist. You're like no, like our problem is are these like Leviathan undemocratic institutions that now shape what happens in this country and pick and like choose which politicians they want and basically buy them into power. Like this is the problem. This is what we need to address. And you know, they're like, not with you though. No, and I'm not doing it the way you want to do it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it's so fucking weird. So it seems like what's interesting too is like obviously like the laws passed in Georgia, like the voter laws, like that's fucking bullshit, and like that's like that's oppressive. But then like when fucking the Major League Baseball comes out and they're like, all right, we're against this now, like we're not doing this, then it's like, okay, cool, like you're taking a stand that matters, but like you're like effectively, maybe not Major League Baseball themselves, but like you're the ruling class that like effectively keeps everyone down. You know what I mean? Like Nike, or not Nike's a bad example, Amazon, like taking like a political stand. It's like, fuck you, Trump. It's like, now that's like the biggest fucking distraction from like real issues. And it's interesting to see how the companies themselves now engage in identity politics, because I think that they can see now how that benefits them. It's like, yes, that's the important thing over there. You feeling divided by class, gender, sexual orientation, whatever. Like that's the real problem, not the fact that we're like stripping you of all of your money, you know?
I think we talked about this previously as well. Like it's just this idea of like, you know, there's all of these holes popping up in I guess we would say like late stage capitalism, as opposed to, you know, like 1950s capitalism when everything was a fucking mom and pop shop, right? It's like everyone has a store. When you need nails, you go to the nail store. There's just one place for nails, as opposed to now where it's just like, yeah, like everything is fucking like consolidated in one place, right? It's just like we're back to monopolies essentially, which some would argue was like the natural course for capital to go down that route, but like the solution now is basically like jangling keys in front of us like we're babies. It's like, look, we've got a black woman CEO, and everyone's supposed to be like, yay!
Dude, you know what's really funny about this is I think we've had viewers come in and out, but since we started getting political, we had 2 likes. We have 0 likes now. I think we pissed off some people. So
maybe we should change do you want to change the subject? We can change the subject.
I'm happy to change the subject. I'm trying to sell out, bro. I'm not trying to make a change.
I don't even know how we got. I asked if Amazon. I just wanted to know. I was just like, did they or did they not?
That's what it is. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm here to.
What is this one called, by the way? What is tonight's the noodle debate?
You know, I didn't even
not debate. I mean, like, it was like the noodle party.
It's called Friday Night Bites, a mukbang.
Friday Night Bites, touching tips.
Touching tips for tots.
Touching tips for tots. You know what I was going to ask? Well, like, I had this in mind. I was like, oh, this would be something fun to talk about. Is I wanted to know about your first job. Like, I wanted to talk about like our first jobs, because I was thinking about work today, and I was just like, fuck, man. Like today, this was a long week for me. Like I got overtime last week. I'm going to get overtime this week. Like it was just, you know, a long week. And I was like, God, Shay used to be this guy. Yeah. And I was just like, I don't know why I started thinking about work, and I was curious about like your first couple of jobs. Like, what was your first job?
First job, I was a dishwasher slash, and this is like how shitty of a place this was,
God.
dishwasher slash salad chef.
No.
Salad and desserts. So I would do the dishes, and then but when a salad or dessert needed to be made, I would stop washing dishes. I would walk 5 feet over to where we kept all of our stuff, and I would make salads. We had a garden salad, we had our Caesar salad, and then it was a British pub. So I would make like spotted dick or rice pudding, and like
What was the name? What was the name of this pub?
Queen Mary. Is it
Of
Queen
course
Mary?
it was.
Queen Mary 2.
Queen Mary something.
I'm pretty sure it's Queen Mary British Pub. Yeah, it was Queen Mary 2 though, which was apparently the name of a famous, I guess, British
Battleship.
cruise ship.
Oh.
That one of the owners had played piano professionally on the cruise ship. He was like the Queen Mary piano player. So then it was like a piano bar, and they would do like, they'd sing like Elton John and shit on Fridays. It was actually a pretty fun place, but it was also like, it's South Florida. It's like the dirt road South Florida, which is like
I know when we first moved to Jacksonville, like I feel like half the city was fucking, the roads were still dirt and pebbles.
Yeah. That's where I grew up. So that was my first one. Now I return the question like a perfect
Like
gentleman.
a gentleman.
Yep. What how about you?
So my first job was actually an internship. I think I told you about this guy, but it is fun to talk about him. My dad's friend ran a like graphic design studio, and I mean, this is like in the age of computers. He did architectural renderings with like print and not spray, but like airbrush architectural renderings when they're like building buildings. And like he was just like he was a dinosaur, even back as like early or late as 2003, 2002. God, how old would it? Yeah, this would have been like 2002, man. Jesus.
Wow.
But yeah, I was a freshman in high school. My dad's friend ran this architectural rendering firm. Like they were just barely getting by. He was telling my dad about how, tough things were getting, I think. And my dad was like, oh, my son will work for you for free. It is good for the boy. It'll build a character. So like during the summer, I had to fucking wake up early as shit. This fucking super right-wing conservative dude who inherited his father's airbrush business would drive me to this office in downtown Jax, and we would have to listen to fucking Rush Limbaugh the entire car drive. And I would just have to listen to shit like Rush Limbaugh be like, people are mad about me saying the N-word. You know who loves the N-word? Clintons. And like the guy would just be like, that's true, right? And I'm like, who are the Clintons?
That's fucking awful. I remember you telling me about this guy. So wait,
Yeah.
you didn't get paid for that?
No, I didn't get paid. My dad volunteered my labor. He was like,
This
would be a good experience for the boy. Literally, it was my first fucking job. The next 12 jobs that came after architectural rendering were like lugging glasses and taking orders in restaurants. Like they literally did not give a shit about Winter Studios Inc. of Jacksonville.
That's hilarious. It's also like the most communist fucking thing I've heard. And he was like, don't pay him. What are you talking about?
That's very capitalist, all right? At least when you worked when you weren't paid for work in communism, you were a prisoner, all right?
You're right. I got it all backwards. It's just, I guess, like, the anti. It's like, you work hard and you get paid for the work you do. It's like there's nothing like typically capitalist in the dogma, that would say that's how it's supposed to work,
Well, it's funny too, because like it's not even true in like capitalism. Like the people that they applaud in capitalism are the people that literally don't do any work at all.
That's true.
They're like, wow, they're so smart. They don't even have to work and they're rich. They actually hate people that work hard. Like if you work hard in America, it means you're a fucking loser. They're like, boo. People that work at the grocery store, boo.
Yeah. God. Yeah. Well, Ian, we've hit our hour.
We have?
Yeah, it's 9:34.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Oh.
I don't know why. I thought we were going until 10 for some reason.
Did you eat all your food?
Sure.
Because I haven't seen you eat at all for like.
No, dude. The noodles have just absorbed all of the broth. They've coagulated. They're no longer edible, right? This is more paste than noodles at this point.
Let's see. Um, I'm sorry for your misfortune. That doesn't sound fun. If you ever want my recipe for what I'm calling Asian lemon ginger noodles, I'll send it to
Yeah,
you.
I mean, this is how much is left.
Oh wow.
I mean, we're gonna talk about this, man. We're gonna talk about this tomorrow. Like, I can't wait to dive into this idea of food waste as entertainment.
That's interesting. Food waste. So, do you think it would have been food waste if we ate it all? You still consider that food waste?
If we had eaten it all, I still would have considered it food waste.
I think I would too.
Just because you ate all 8,000 calories doesn't mean it wasn't wasted food.
All right, let me ask you this. Maybe I should save some of this for tomorrow's episode. But like,
Okay.
so obviously we've been binging heavy Monday and Wednesday. On Tuesday and Thursday, I've barely eaten. Like, I did not eat much
Same.
at all. Like, it was weird. I was like, I'm not even hungry. Like, I think yesterday I had I think the entire day I had a bagel, some chips and salsa for lunch. Like, not a lot. Like, I also didn't have much time. And then we went out for drinks after a long job, and I had 2 tiny little hot dogs. That was it. I was just like, that was my day. Compare that to like this fucking monstrosity.
Yeah.
How about you? You've been
I think the day after, certainly the day after I had that fucking cereal, like I barely ate. And then after the pizza day, yeah, I nibbled. I had like scraps. I was just like, oh my God, like, no, that was disgusting.
yeah. That's interesting, man. My stomach has not been happy too the following days. In fact, even like beyond that, my mood has been pretty bad. When after our Wednesday mukbang, I went and laid down in Stephanie's room, and then I just threw a fucking tantrum. like she was like, "Is everything okay?" I was like, "No, nothing's okay." And then she'd be like, "Do you need anything?" I was like, "I don't need anything." And she's like, "How are you feeling?" I was like, "My tummy hurts." It's just like, just being ridiculous. And then, yeah, I just being a total fucking child. Like, I've reverted back to a much younger, unhappy self.
I've got a captain's log about that maybe we'll dive into. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's been interesting, but it hasn't been good. I don't know. Like, a lot of these immersions are like that, right? Where it's like, huh, this is interesting, but it isn't good.
Yeah, it's fun being a guinea pig.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I am excited. I'm really excited to record tomorrow's episode. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to talk about. But I don't know, man. One of these things that I've been stuck on is just like this idea of like moralization. It's like we view things in such strictly moral terms when maybe they don't deserve them. And it's like this is I don't know. This one's so interesting because I heard a phrase tonight that I hadn't heard in a long time, where it's like, we really are monkey see, monkey do. And I wonder if part of it is like this almost, I don't know if there's an adjectival form of amygdala, but I'm just going to say amygdalin response to like seeing something happen and like understanding innately, unconsciously, maybe that like we mimic what we see, and that's probably our fucking our prehistoric ape brains, like remembering how to climb trees, and then just like, people shouldn't do this. If people see this, it will be bad for them.
So you think, break that down to mukbang now?
That was mukbang. That was like, I'm wondering where this instinct to moralize against mukbang comes from, as opposed to just be like, not for me. Like, what is this like moral condemnation of it? It's like, it's weird because I've seen a lot of it in articles, and it feels very easy to criticize it. Like, it feels extremely easy to criticize mukbang more than like makeup. Like, at least when I was doing makeup, I was like, I get it now. I get it more. Like, now that I've got this like experience with it, now that I'm really thinking about it, now that we like, after we interviewed Yane, or after we interviewed our friend, and after we interviewed Ebony, like I understood it now. And it's like I don't know if an interview with a mukbanger is gonna like make me get it. You know, and like I've even read interviews with mukbangers who were like, I don't get it, but it makes me money, so I do it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's easy to criticize because it should be criticized. I don't know. Like, you know what else is like criticized? Like parkour and like planking. You know, people people criticize planking
At
because
least
it's
parkour is exercise, right? Like
yeah, or like there's that other thing where people like hang from like really high buildings and people die often.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a video to God. Did you see the video of that Chinese guy that did that? Like he climbed to the top of the building and like you just like see him. Apparently, I can't remember if I like watched it now or if I imagined it, but I guess like you like see him slip, and then there's just like
Nothing else.
that's it. It's just like the video's there until someone gets the camera after they like found him dead later.
I
So
remember there was like these yeah, Russian kids, like it was really big in Russia, like you climb to like the top of like a skyscraper and you just like get to the very top and like hang off the edge or like hang by one arm and then like pull yourself back up. And there's like one guy doing that. He was like one of the most famous guys and like people were like he hasn't posted anything in a while. Well, like what's going on? And then like they finally found out that there was like security felt and I did see this footage of just like him just like hanging on this edge and then like something happened and then he just drops and it's just like holy shit, like you know he's on a fucking skyscraper. You like like it's weird because like
yeah,
yeah, he didn't make it. And you like have this visceral understanding of what that feeling can be like. Like I'm sure you've had the dreams, you know, where you're like, "Oh, I'm falling." And you're like,
yeah,
"Oh my god, like I know this feeling." And it's so inherently terrifying. And so to see the video of it happening, like you know what that man's moments were like before he died. It's just like,
yeah.
"Oh my god. It's too much."
Isn't there that old wives' tale that like, oh, you died before you hit the ground? Like, I mean, did they ask these people like, hey, how did the fall kill you? No, I died before I hit the ground. Like,
I think that's like something they tell
I think
old
that's something they
wives.
tell people. So it's just like, but then you're falling and you're like, any minute now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I think that's something they say that so that the idea of being crushed by your own weight hitting the earth is like a little more palatable for
Oh my God.
for the widows. It's maybe an old widow's tale is what you meant to say.
Oh God, yeah. It's okay, Martha. He died before he hit the ground.
Yeah.
Something they used to say about like pilots being shot down by the Japanese in World War II.
They
He died
die.
before he hit the ground. What killed him? Fear. not, not the bullets through the cockpit window. I'll tell you that much right now, Martha.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is it, yeah, they died before he hit the ground because the bullets tore him into two people, two
The
pieces.
bullets literally cut him in half.
Yeah. So, anyway,
Jesus.
Ian, I have one last thing to say, one last thing to do.
You're gonna play the theme song, and I'm just gonna kind of like nod along to it because again, like the food has sapped me of my energy. It's done the opposite of what food is supposed to do.
All right, you're right. Bye, everyone, and goodbye, Ian.
Folks.